To wrap up the year, I already ranked the top 10 CitizenBrick minifigures of the year. If you want to see that list, check out the video in the corner. They put out a lot of great stuff, but I also collected a ton of other minifigures from other brands throughout the year. I want to definitely do another video representing all of those. And since I upgraded my display cases and made it so I actually organize my minifigures, it'll be way easier to go through and figure out which new minifigures for the year are going to be selected for the top 20. So let's go ahead and jump in and count down the minifigures. And to kick it off at the number 20 spot, we have the True Red Studios Braveheart minifigure here. Reasons why I wanted this one on the list instead of maybe even some of my more premium minifigures is because this is just an impressive feat by a very small brand. It's one guy printing on one color at a time, I'm pretty sure. That's a hand crank pad printer. So it's just very impressive that they're able to get so much going here. They have a printed kilt piece, which looks very cool. And it's not even just like a single level wraparound. It's got varying lengths and all that, which just makes it very cool. And on top of that, you got all the printing on the torso, where it's all the different studs, a couple of different colors of brown, metallic for the little belt loop there. Same goes for the backside, and even the face print's very cool with 3 different colors, because you got the green eyes, then also the blue for the stripes. I guess 4, because there's also the black, and then also the sort of cheek line. So that is also impressive. Another cool movie, big pop culture guy, which will make sense in my collection. And I want to represent some non-superhero minifigures in this video at some point, and you'll definitely see some of them, but obviously, since that is the majority of what I collect, that will take up some of the spots, but very great effort by True Red here, and I'm always very happy with their stuff when I pick it up, even if it isn't super often. At 19, we have the first superhero minifigure of many, but a great one at that, being the MRM Phoenix here. Why this is here. It is great to have a version of this character that is pretty much better or equivalent to the official one. Since it does have that extra side leg printing, it does push it up a little bit from the official one that came out for San Diego Comic-Con, which is ridiculous. We did get the version in the X-Mansion now, so there is another official option, but the fact that this was the only Jean Grey that was made, and it was exclusive to a comic convention, is ridiculous, since she's one of the more popular X-Men characters, and especially in like the 80s, this is a very iconic suit. I have another version of her that's from a couple years ago by a different designer, but this is the look that I want, and fills the void for me that I do have a version of her, like I said, that is very close to the version from San Diego. And it just looks great too. You got the 2 different face options. I wasn't a huge fan of those, but still better than nothing. Great effort. Legs are nice, especially with the extra side printing, and MRM had to make it to the list in some way. That's why we put that there. And what's surprising to me is a UV minifigure in my top 20, but a great one at that, being the Brick Mania NCR Ranger here, version 2. I have the first one as well, and both of them are good. I picked the second one though because it does have the extra printing on the helmet, where it has the little bit of battle damage on it. I just thought that puts it a little bit further, but also having the Vault Boy face as the one here is also very fun. The printed revolver, also very cool. Everything about this character is iconic to the Fallout franchise, you know, especially to the New Vegas fans. Trench coat print that is printed. It's very cool. So that was cool to see on the first version, cool to see it again here. And even just the very cool 3D printed helmet. Has great detailing on it, printed eyes. Only thing I would like to see is having the helmet colored slightly different in that like army green that is more accurate. Or even if they sold these as a kit, I could paint it myself without damaging the one I already have. That would be ideal, but also just cool printed legs, cool printed torso. Everything about this was what I would want. That's why it made it to the list, and it was designed by one of my friends, so I had to shout them out. The next minifigure is going to be a little bit lower on the list due to quality control, and it's going to be kind of a surprising pattern where a lot of the minifigures on this list are actually Jaka minifigures, which wasn't collecting a ton of his stuff last year. But I guess that would kind of make sense with the 6-month pre-order sort of timeline. You're not going to get stuff in hand for a long time. But the guitar got damaged. Haven't gotten a replacement. Said I was going to get one. Have not gotten one. That really bummed me out and kind of ruins the brand for me. He's been having issues with customer service. And that's a really big issue when a lot of your minifigures have poor quality control and get damaged constantly by people barely using it. which is, for this one's really tough because the guitar is really cool, has a lot of great detailing, one of the best accessories we'll see in this top 20. So it has to make it on the list because it is a really cool minifigure, and this isn't even everything you got. You got the custom head as well for his unmasked look, and also the molded hairpiece, on top of everything you got here with all the cool printing and everything. So it's conflicting, where I'm frustrated because it is damaged, but it is a really cool minifigure, and the fact that at least I can put the guitar with the magnet on the back and not in the hand, having it damage more, it doesn't ruin the presentation completely. But I would love to see some sort of better response to figures in the future, especially ones that have really bad problems like this. That's all I got to say about SpiderPunk. It made it, but reluctantly. Another minifigure in that same category is going to be the Jaka Deadpool from the movie, where I talked about in the review where this is not my favorite look. I feel like the Phoenix Customs one is going to top this, but the Phoenix Customs one didn't come out this year, so this is going to be the number one Deadpool minifigure of the year. It's a little goofy. The legs are black, printed with the red all around it. And I guess that's something that Jaka always does too, especially with like the hips even, where they're one color but printed different. From my understanding, I would figure they wanted everything the same color of plastic, so when they're printing the different colors, it stays consistent all the way throughout. And I think maybe accessories-wise, the katanas look fine. Nothing to complain about there. And the head, I feel like maybe the mask kind of grew on me a little bit, where I didn't love the shaping. But you just can't complain about the overall quality. It is a great figure, great design, love Deadpool. So it was really tough for me. However, I wanted to leave him out, and he would have been in the honorable mention section in a bit. But I looked at some of those minifigures that were in that area. This one's just way better and just has too much going for it, where I can't be negative on it. So it made it in. It's at a lower spot, obviously, with it only being at 16. It probably should even be higher, I guess, since it is one of my favorite characters. But like I said, I just hate the feeling that I know that the Phoenix Customs one will be a better option for me. But still glad to have a new Deadpool version in the year of 2024 when the movie came out, but I'm excited to see what comes out in the future too. At 15, we have another Spider-Man minifigure by a different brand though, not another Jaka. We have the Life Brick Final Swing Spider-Man here, which probably the best Spider-Man minifigure that came out this year. I didn't buy all of them, but really like this one. The metallic blue looks awesome, very unique to have that on a version of the suit. Molded mask is different for me in my collection, but it is nice that you can also just take it off, have the normal minifigure head if you want to, but I think this kind of gives it a unique flair that is different, so that's why I left it on. Really can't complain about it. You got all the wraparound printing, which I mentioned in the review. There's also the unmasked head and extra mask accessory to hold in the hand that I showed off in the review. But looked at all the Spider-Man minifigures I got with Miles and all the different Spider-Verse minifigures, even the SpiderPunk one, which I think I might have switched spots with this one and lowered the SpiderPunk just because I thought this is more premium since it isn't damaged. But obviously the SpiderPunk one has more accessories. So that's always the issue with these lists. A little bit of subjectivity, a little bit of just the truth. I think this ended up being a cooler product. So that's why it's up here. And I definitely think it deserves a spot. Another X-Men entry is going to be the KO Customs Jubilee here. Why this one isn't higher, I just don't think I'm like super excited about the character, I guess. I do think a lot of the options with the accessories and everything that they included are great. You got the option between these sort of jacket molded part and the legs like this. That was amazing. But I'm just not as excited about this one as I was about some of their previous releases, like even last year. I think Gambit was just exceptional. And one of my favorite characters, which definitely weighs my decision a little bit more. Jubilee, I am a big fan of the animated series in 97, so definitely want to have her, but not one of my favorite characters. So it's all a popularity contest, I guess, a little bit when it comes to this, but nothing to hate here. I think all the molded parts are amazing. Print-wise, also very cool. And I got to see kind of the behind the scenes when this was designed originally, his production sheets. That was also cool. So it's just interesting for me to see the beginning and the end of a product, which isn't something I always get to do, but he was able to share that with me, and glad to see him just finish another minifigure, another great addition to the collection. But yeah, there's going to be some more Marvel characters going on, X-Men characters going on, but definitely wanted to include this. It is a very good minifigure. Glad to have it. Let's keep moving. The next one might be a little bit of an underrated minifigure, honestly, being the Jaka StarLord here, where the official minifigures are passable, but what he did with the faces here and even the custom molded hair, even the guns, there's just a lot to love here, and having the whole team eventually, hopefully, in their suits is going to be very cool as a collection. Right now, just missing out on his Groot, his Rocket, and then his Cosmo. Must have still really waiting to get those. But what they were able to do here with all the wraparound printing, the great boots, the colors, it just looks really great and very accurate to the movie. And on top of that, you got like his red t-shirt from the beginning of the movie as an additional piece here. A lot of value, a lot of custom heads, multiple options. And I think all the likenesses were just really great for Chris Pratt. Plus, not a lot of people have done custom Lego Guardians of the Galaxy, so it's great to have that even in the collection. I picked this one because I feel like the likeness was the best, and obviously he's like the main character, so it's easy to pick him, and I just, big fan of the franchise, big fan of StarLord. Really excited to have a very cool version of this in my collection. At 12, we have another Lifebrick minifigure, and I wanted to do at least one of the Breaking Bad minifigures by them. I thought Gus here was a little bit more interesting to me since it is the only version of this that I have that is in my collection, which is a lie, I guess I do have a second one, but this is the only good one. So it was a little bit more exciting. I have a couple different Waltz and one other Jesse than the version that Lifebrick did. And this was the version of the character I definitely wanted. You get the really exceptional accessory being the molded chicken bucket with the insert for the chicken, as well as the math that I showed in the review there. I just think expression-wise, they did a very good job here, especially with like the glasses being that really nice metallic. Just really feels like the character. You get the custom molded hairpiece, again, just going above to add more accuracy to it. And it's just nice to have the different flesh tone here instead of just using reddish brown, which was like the one I had previously. And honestly, it's just the little things like the nice khaki pants with the shoes. It's a great minifigure. It was a great 2-pack, honestly, and all of those Breaking Bad minifigures that they've been doing have been really great. But this is the one I would say is my favorite out of all of them. Almost to the halfway point, we have Omni-Man here at number 11, another comic book minifigure by Jaka, unfortunately, like I was saying, bit of a trend here. But great minifigure. This and also the Invincible that they did are just exceptional and probably some of the best that they did. It's a little bit simple though, since it is comic inspired, so there's just some more detailed and more exciting minifigures to come. But still really glad to get this. Printed hairpiece looks nice, and the shine on it is very accurate to Lego plastic, and you got the other expression on the back. Plus just good wraparound on the torso, on the arms for the glove tops, and the legs. Lots to love here, and Invincible is one of those franchises I'm very excited to watch. Haven't read the comics, but I have watched the show and I guess read the comics up to the point where the show is, but I'm more interested in seeing this story play out from the show just because I feel like it has been a very cool medium to see them translated into, and it's been just exciting to see what happens with the characters. And we're at the halfway point. At number 10, we have the number 1 minifigure from my Citizen Brick Top 10. If you want to see that video, check it out in the corner. That is the Graffiti Enthusiast here. I don't have any of the other Citizen Brick minifigures in this review, or I guess in this top 10, 20, whatever, since I kind of place these two different sort of areas of customs separately in my brain, I guess, where Citizen Brick is its own product, their own line. I just think of them very differently. They're more affordable, they are easier to get, they have a higher quantity, so it's easier to collect them. But I still really love them, and this is obviously a very impressive amount of printing. But this is a minifigure that I want and a minifigure that I need, which I feel like kind of justifies it where it is in the list, where Citizen Brick is the company I buy the most from. I have the most of their products. I have probably 100, 200 minifigures if you count all the loose parts I have. So got to be represented in some way. Number 1 minifigure that I had of theirs, and I definitely think it deserves to be up here, but there's even some more that I'm even more excited about somehow. But really love this minifigure. It's one of their best of all time, probably. But let's go to the number 9. My number 9 is going to be a bit of a biased one, since I love the Watchmen and the Zack Snyder movies, honestly. Picking Night Owl here, it was tough between him and Silk Spectre. They're both great, but really think the metallic brown is very unique and definitely adds a ton to the presentation here for the minifigure. Plus, the mold accessories are also very cool. You get 2 different head options, and I was just very impressed by the mask design that they went with, which I compared to the Robert Pattinson Batman by Phoenix Customs, where it uses the same sort of shaping and head to actually make most of the mask, which is smart and just creates a more seamless design. Printing overall is good. I love the texturing everywhere. The only downside really was that the back of the minifigure isn't printed since the cape covers it, which is fine and it makes sense. If you don't want to spend more money on a character like this, and it's going to be covered by an accessory anyway, don't see why you should include it. I guess it would have made more sense and felt better as like a consumer to have a more completed product, but like I said, I'm cool with it. It's fine. Glad to have a very cool version of the movie version of Night Owl, and I guess I got to get a comic version eventually too, but let's keep moving on. At 8 is going to be another, I feel like, sleeper hit for comic collectors and very much underrated, being this version of Maximus here by Ling. I have all their Inhumans minifigures, and I think this is probably the best one, honestly, where the detailing on it is crazy. Printed arms that are wrap around. You got the very nice leg printing, and something I didn't even point out in the review, I don't think, is like the shoe printing is that dark green, which is a very different color than everywhere else. Noticing there's like a bit of weird scuffing on the legs, though. I don't know if I've noticed that until just now. I don't know if that is something I did or if it's dust, but no, that's definitely like some glue or something. So I don't know what's up with that. I guess that kind of stinks. Weird stuff. I guess I'll have to go and look at the original video to see if that was there. Looks like maybe some of the coating or adhesive of some sort might be on there. Hard to say. Really like the molds too. I think the face design looks very cool and very accurate to the comics, where he's got kind of that menacing look, nice shadowing under the eyes. And the assembly here for his like weird neck cape thing is interesting, where it has like the donut piece and then also the cape piece, and it all locks together. But really love it. Ling always puts out the best comic minifigures. I got a couple more of his things pre-ordered. You'll see him again in the list. But Maximus is a standout. Had to include him, and he's so high on the list just because of the quality, and also I'm just kind of an Inhumans fan, so a little bit of bias there too. And the next 2 entries are going to be a little bit of an outlier, with them being cheaper minifigures. We got the Ktown Loose here, which is a standout Fallout minifigure. All of his Fallout stuff has been exceptional. Torso here and the legs are amazing, with the gun holster, wraparound printing, metallic gold for the different parts of the vault suit. And the printed arm is the standout here, being with a Pip-Boy. I know he's going to work on a molded version eventually and hopefully print those too, but that looks great. And even having the small detailing with the Vault Boy with the thumbs up on the screen, amazing. Face print too, with the bloody look here. Same goes for the torso. Everything is perfect as you would want it. And it's just my favorite Fallout minifigure in my collection now, I would say. Probably not even close. And even like the molded accessories he put out too, like the dart gun here and the other ones you could buy separately, are just great. Very excited for all the Fallout stuff he's going to put out. And let's move on to the next one. Number 6 spot, and another Ktown minifigure, actually being their King Arthur from the Holy Grail minifigures that they did. And I would say this one is interchangeable or even equivalent to the Black Knight that they also put out. I think both of these together create a better package, but obviously they were sold separately, and I think this one just makes me the most happy. But this one is also amazing with the molded arm parts. If I'm going to make a recommendation, I'd obviously get both of them, but I think this one stands out to me as being a little bit better, since he obviously is the main character throughout the movie versus being in one scene and one gag. But you also got the very cool accessory you could buy separately, being the Holy Hand Grenade. Everything about this is amazing and really joins their interests, where they are medieval, kind of military, but also pop culture. So it meets in the middle. The amount of joy I felt when I saw that they announced these, since I always kind of thought this would be the perfect Ktown minifigure, and really it is, and why it's so high on here, because this is a minifigure that I needed as a long time Monty Python, the Holy Grail enjoyer, one of my favorite comedies, seen it dozens of times, and also as a huge custom Lego and also just Lego collector. And just thinking back to like the Knights of the Round Table, like stop motion music video that someone made with Lego like 10 years ago, used to watch that all the time. Had to get this accurate and amazing custom Lego minifigure by Ktown. Definitely deserves to be this high on the list, even just looking at the amazing printing on it. They're just doing so many cool prints and just standout prints with crazy wraparound, amazing detailing that just creates a very accurate minifigure and very premium minifigure at a very affordable price, which I commend them for. Very excited for them to hopefully do more of these down the line, because this is a great line, and I'm sure people love them too. And before we get to the top 5, I just want to go over some minifigures I really like from the year that didn't make it, one of which being the Mr. J Agent Venom here in the Thunderbolts colors. I haven't reviewed this minifigure yet, so I just haven't really taken much time to look at it. I do really think it looks really cool, but just don't have the affinity for it in my collection yet. Gotta kind of gauge where it is over time. Very excited that they're putting all the Thunderbolts characters out, though. I'm going to buy the whole roster of them to have the whole team, since that is something that came out in my era where I was really into the Deadpool comics, but cool to see it. And there's just a couple more I just want to highlight. Another one that I haven't reviewed yet, but I've had in my collection pretty much all year, and it just hasn't fit into the schedule, being the Darth Revan here by Brick Daddy Minifigures or whatever. Really wanted a Revan, since I don't have the one that Lego made, and it's too dang expensive. Not going to pick up the official one. Think this conceptually is just much better than the official one anyway, since you got the new mold for the skirt now instead of just minifigure legs with some printing on them, and just some very cool metallic printing, printed on a metallic head even, which is also very cool. The lightsaber hilts here are custom molded accessories by Brick Tactical, which I picked up in Brick World for this minifigure to enhance it a little bit. So those definitely tie the piece together too. And I'm just gonna be honest, I just want to make sure I talked about one Star Wars minifigure. Didn't really buy many this year, but this was the one I was most excited about, and just wanted to say, hey, it's a good minifigure. Another one that was exceptionally well done and deserves some recognition is the RMRM version of Ronin the Accuser here. And didn't put it in the list because I really wanted to have the Phoenix in there. It's kind of in between these two. I think getting another cosmic comic minifigure was very exciting for me. I have the first appearance of Ronin here in the comics, actually, so it's kind of a special character to me for that, but also just as a fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Fantastic Four was a must-have, and I think hammer-wise, very cool with the printed parts on there to enhance that a little bit, and of course just everything included in the minifigure is fun. Printed arms are cool too. Was a must-have for me, and definitely would recommend this to any other Marvel Comics fans. Didn't make the list though, but it is very cool. Continuing a trend you'll see throughout the video, another Marvel character that I just want to show off, the KO Customs Morph here. Again, didn't make the list just because it's a little bit more simple, but I'm glad to have the character. Execution-wise, great. Mentioned in the review, you know, they use these legs as a Cyclops expansion as well, so it's good to see them get extra use from it. Expression on the face looks good. I guess I would have maybe preferred some more face options, but I could see why they wanted to limit it a little bit to keep the price down. I always say that, you know, rather have an affordable figure than an expensive one for no reason. And it's cool. You get the minifigure here in the old brown instead of reddish brown, so it just gives it that old flair. Great to have in the collection, like I said. And I just want to make sure I showed it off because Kyle was putting out great stuff. The Marvel minifigure that just didn't make the cut for me was the MiniBigs Symbiote SpiderMan here, which it's probably the best Symbiote SpiderMan in my collection, but it's one of those characters a ton of people have done, so I'm just not as excited about it. It is very impressive for them though, and I do really like the blue shading throughout it, and even the lens shading that you can see there. It's a very cool minifigure. It looks great. But there's just so many other things that came out this year. I feel really bad not to get this one in there because it was very close. It was really, really close. But I had to just bump stuff up, and it was unfortunate to not make the cut. And we have one more by MiniBigs, unfortunately, and that is their classic Daredevil here. Same thing where I said about Spider-Man, where I've already have some Daredevil minifigures, but everything they did here is amazing. I really love everything about it with the shading. But it ends up being a little too simple, and there's just so many other great minifigures that came out this year. like I said, really like everything they did here. Want to make sure I shout it out. This is definitely a must-have if you are a comic fan. They got everything right about it, like the little horns, the cool shading on the face to represent that Ramita art, and great to have it in the collection, but just doesn't make the top list this year. And one more Marvel and Spider-Man minifigure being the CorFigs Miles here, which almost had at the 25 spot, but really wanted the True Red minifigure to get some representation of some smaller brands. And again, just another Spider-Man minifigure. You know, that's on me for collecting so many. The video game is kind of out of the zeitgeist a little bit, especially for me, I guess, where I guess I could even put the Symbiote version in this sort of recognition. It's a great minifigure. It really is. Really love it. Glad to have it. But again, there's just so many other ones. It's just a really hard list to put together. Really appreciative of all the minifigures that CorFigs did put out representing the video game. Got the 3 main Spider-Man suits basically from the second game, so that was perfect for me. Didn't pick up the Shield one, just wasn't super interested. And I would be interested to see what else they end up putting out, if they end up doing more. You know, they're kind of on a hiatus because Jaka started doing their own production and focusing on that, doing their ready-to-sell minifigures. So I feel like the sort of commission stuff went to the side, which is unfortunate because these have all been really great Spider-Man minifigures. This is another example of that, and just want to really make sure I represent this brand. They're doing great stuff and have been very good at communication and all that, and it's very appreciated in this market. Now that we are through the honorable mentions, we'll go to another KO Customs minifigure, being Mr. Sinister. I've been dying for some more X-Men villains. Apocalypse was my favorite from last year. Mr. Sinister is another great option for this year. At least I think Apocalypse was last year. I can't remember if I included him in the list or not. I know I kind of got him in that gray area, beginning of the year, end of the year. I think this is a better option, though, since he is fully pulsable and doesn't have the annoying tube things. The cape, going to be a little finicky. I know people aren't the hugest fan of that, since it is a little all over the place, a little crazy, and can get kind of tangled up and look a little bit off sometimes. I've been able to keep this one in a pretty good condition and looking nice since I put him in a case. But need some villains. Sinister, obviously, is one of those really good ones that you can mock around, making a laboratory, different scenes, especially with 97 being out. It's good to see him. And KO Customs always puts out the best versions of the minifigures since they're always comic-based. They're not super over-detailed. They don't have crazy molds or anything. They just have what you need. Even the extra printing, like all the different lines going around the minifigure, is exceptional and adds just a little bit of extra oomph to make it even better. The hairpiece, I believe, is a Firestar or Lyle molded part, whatever brand is resold on Firestar. So I didn't know that at the time when I was reviewing it, but noticed that later on when I was looking at hair options on the site. But cape design is really creative and fits the character. The only other way you'd be able to do something like this is with a mold, and at least this is more posable and doesn't limit the articulation as much, which I think is important. This is going to be my top comic minifigure of the year for the X-Men. I guess I really only have the KO versions to really compare to, and some of the other brands, like I guess the Phoenix minifigure we looked at earlier. But KO is my favorite designer. Really wanted to include his minifigures because I definitely recommend them, and this was a great entry for the year from him. Getting to the last X-Men minifigure and MCU minifigure, we got the Jaka Wolverine here. Definitely my favorite out of the two of them. This is the one character from the Jaka Deadpool movies where I'm not sure if their version will be worse than the Phoenix Customs one. I feel like this Wolverine is a great inclusion. They did everything that I would want for this clean, undamaged suit. I know Phoenix is also doing a damaged version, which maybe I should get that one instead of the clean one so I can have the two different looks. Since I did kind of go for the full suited look here. And then for the Phoenix one, I could do the sleeveless bloody suit one. I think that might be a good option. I don't know. I might just get the clean one too and then have it with the sleeveless version, I guess. Could go either way. I think the face here is very good. I think the hairpiece is great. Really love the claws. That is going to be the best part of all their Wolverine minifigures. They just have done that the best. And it was great to get it out at the time of the movie. I think the magnets for the sleeves are an interesting choice, but they definitely work and probably make it a little bit easier to manage the minifigure with posing the arms and such, rather than the big shoulder pad piece. Ooh, there goes a resale value. Knocked the hairpiece off, which is kind of funny. I noticed the other day when I moved this around, somehow the shoulder pad had doubled up on the side there. I got worried I lost one. I noticed that it was just like moved over there. So that was kind of interesting to see, and a little scary. But other than that, the detailing's amazing. All the different faces, and you got the mask look. All that was really great. And it was nice to get it with Deadpool. I would have preferred if these minifigures were sold separately, because I definitely would have just bought Wolverine. But now that I have both of them, I don't hate having both of them. And it'll be interesting to compare the Phoenix versions if I for sure get the Deadpool one, but probably also get the Wolverine one. You can just see how those all look together. But this is a great minifigure, great Hugh Jackman minifigure, great likeness. Super, super happy to have this one. And again, big pattern, Jaka brick all the way throughout this top 10, top 20 list, and this is the last one for Jaka, but it's a great option and definitely their best one they put out this year. I'm a big Marvel collector, but I also get some DC every once in a while, and this is the best DC minifigure I got. One of my favorite characters being Swamp Thing. Number 3, we have the Jin version here with this really cool molded torso piece that they've been doing for a couple different characters, where it is that kind of bulkier look. Arms are posable, head is cursed when you take it off, but it's nice to see it molded. This is obviously very much the new 52 version of the character, but still kind of fits the older look too, where it is very similar. And I did realize you can actually remove the arms. They do pop into minifigure torsos as well. For Fig Bars, I did that and won a contest on Instagram, so that was kind of a fun discovery. But really liking this one, and it was one of my DC characters I definitely wanted in custom Lego. And while we're on Swamp Thing for this year, I want to bring up last year I accidentally snubbed the Light Customs John Constantine from the top 10. Definitely would have been a top 10 minifigure. This is one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite minifigures in my collection. I can't believe I forgot to include him last year, but both of these together are amazing. I display them next to each other in my cases. 2 of the best DC characters in my opinion. And really love the Vertigo line. That is one of the comic series, or I guess brands, that I've collected a ton of comic books from. Definitely need some Sandman minifigures. Hopefully some customizers come out with those eventually. Would love to add those to the collection, but this is a standout for me. Great character, great minifigure. And let's move on to number 2. And this is one that, as I've done multiple reviews and pulled it out, I've just grown to really love it. The cross-check into the Spider-Verse Peter B. Parker here. Detailing, all the different accessories. If you bought this as well as the Spider-Man full suit, you just got so many different combinations you could do with the face prints, the different options to switch out parts of the minifigure, whether it's the legs, the jacket. I'm going to leave that on, but you could put on the Spider-Man legs, or I think there's a shoeless version. I can't remember. It's been a while since I reviewed this one. I think it's one of the first minifigures I reviewed of the year, maybe early February, Marchish, somewhere in there. But lots of innovation here, using magnets for the jacket instead of forcing the arms into the minifigure and doing the weird trench coat jacket thing where it like sandwiches around the minifigure. That is super smart and makes it so the figure doesn't get damaged. Adds to the custom parts I guess you need for it, but it makes it a little bit easier. They did the mold for the arms the one time. Now they can do unlimited jackets with the magnets in it. So that's super smart. And on top of that, it's just like the wraparound for all the different layers of the pants being at different lengths, the shoes being at different heights. It's exceptional. And even like all the different faces. It's just perfect. And I just really love the hair texture, giving it that very perfect animated look, and matches the character in the movie just perfectly. This is the number 1 Spider-Man figure in my collection, at least for now, and a absolute must-have. Let's go to the number 1, which is another very obvious pick. And a number 1, it could be nobody else. It's got to be Galatis. And I just reviewed this minifigure, so if you want to see it more in detail, check out the video in the corner. But this thing is a standout for the year. Great detailing, great concept using the Lego lamp here to give it this really crazy size and everything. Next to the minifigure, looks great. It's going to be fun to build a mock and figure out some really cool way to display this. Detailing, molds, everything is just perfect, and it's a standout. I have nothing but good things to say about it. I don't think anything would ever top this in my collection. and it is the #1 minifigure for me for 2024. And it kind of breaks the tradition of being a minifigure, but it's scaled like one, it's shaped like one, so I'm going to count it here. And with that being said, let's go to the final comparisons and the final verdict. And what a journey throughout the year for all these custom minifigures. Obviously got the big guy on the inside there, kind of for comedic effect. Not going to really compare him to much, since really can't. All the other minifigures though, tough choices all around. Lots of characters that I really love this year coming out. And I really only buy things that I like, or characters that I like. So obviously I'm going to be a big fan of a lot of things that are in my collection, but these are definitely some that are much higher quality than others, and ones that I just enjoy the most, like the CitizenBrick minifigure here, is going to be pretty much the most intricate printed minifigure here and for the year. Crazy wraparound, obviously. You know, they don't get to the inside of the legs, which some of these other minifigures would have, which is fine. You know, they aren't interested in super high price points, so keeping it affordable is what I would prefer. Plus, you know, you get the nice accessory. Night Owl, just a cool version of the movie character. Cool metallic printing, which is kind of fun. Maximus, more great molds, great printing, which is something I guess I'm looking for here, is just like the best design, best print. When it comes to like something wraparound, perfect. Or if it is just accurate to a show or movie, has cool metallic stuff on it, small details that make it pop, that's great for me too. And of course, just the franchises I love, whether it is a first time minifigure for Monty Python and the Holy Grail with King Arthur, or something I've been collecting a ton of with more X-Men characters. I'm definitely going to be a little biased. You saw it throughout the video, lots of superhero minifigures, but that's just what I enjoy, what I collect, and going to keep an eye out for figures in the future that I'm going to want in the collection, of course, especially for movies and other properties that I really love, like the #1 minifigure scaled minifigure with Peter B. Parker here. It's a perfect translation from the version from the animated movie. And because it's so perfect, it has great printing, obviously it's going to be on a list like this. But let me know throughout the year, were there any custom minifigures that you collected that you would list at the top of your list, or any on here that you have seen for the first time now and are interested in? Just let me know down in the comments. If you want to see more custom Lego videos or more minifigure reviews, check out all the content on my channel. I have been Brick Radiop, and I will see you in the next video.